Today we're going to be covering one of the most heartbreaking inquiries I tend to run across on this YouTube channel, and that's basically a situation where your ex broke up with you, threw you away feeling like a piece of garbage, and leaving you wondering if your time meant anything to them. So, in my opinion, it's rare to actually encounter a situation where you truly, quote-unquote, meant nothing to an ex. Though, it is possible, and that's really what I want this YouTube video to be looking at. Those types of situations where it's likely that you meant nothing. Additionally, I'd also like to spend some time diving into the psychology of why they're acting like you meant nothing to them when you really did mean something to them. So essentially what we have here is two portions to this video. The first one, we're going to be creating a scenario where it's much more likely that you quote-unquote meant nothing to your ex. And the second division of the video is going to be looking at those situations where your ex is posturing, where they're pretending like you meant nothing to them when you really did, and looking at the psychology of that. So let's just jump right in. So first off, what is the likelihood that you really meant nothing to your ex? Now, I've already gone on record stating that I think it's actually pretty rare where you can find yourself in a situation where you meant nothing to an ex. So the vast majority of people listening to this or watching this should probably skip to the part of the video where I dissect the psychology behind why your ex is making you think you meant nothing to them. But if you're interested in, or you're just very concerned because you feel like you are in a situation where you meant nothing to your ex, I'm going to try to create the perfect circumstance in which your ex would think you meant nothing to them. And in my opinion, there are only a handful of situations that I think you encounter where this actually occurs. Number one is you haven't dated for very long. Number two is they are a complete narcissist. Number three is they were just using you for a green card, which is illegal. And number four is your time together was basically only a one-night stand. So let's take a moment and talk about each of these scenarios a little bit in depth so you can get kind of an understanding of what comprises each of these. So for example, you haven't dated for very long. Now, most people will freak out when hearing this, but I'm here to tell you that most of you can rest easy. When I say I'm looking for a situation in which you haven't dated for very long, I'm literally talking about a situation where you've dated your ex for like 2 weeks total. Yes, even 1 month summer fling type relationships means something to the vast majority of people out there. But one in which you dated maybe for a week, that creates an environment where they may not have much care because they haven't really invested a lot of emotional connection into that relationship to make them care. Let's move on to the most likely situation in which your ex would not care, which is they are a complete narcissist. Keyword there is complete. So your ex is considered a complete narcissist, meaning they hit all of the following criteria. Number one, they have a grandiose sense of self. Number two, they live in this fantasy world to prop up their ego. Number three, they need constant praise and attention. Number four, they have a sense of entitlement. Number five, they exploit others without any feeling of guilt. And number six, they intimidate and bully others. Now, most of our clients will go on record and say that they think their exes are narcissists, but most of my clients are wrong. It's entirely possible for a non-narcissistic person to seek praise and attention. As an example, anxious individuals often do this. What I'm looking for here is an ex that runs the gamut of behaviors. So if your ex is the extreme level of narcissist, then it's possible that your relationship existed for them to prop up their sense of self. So I want you to be on the lookout for scenarios like that. Essentially one in which the only value of the relationship was simply by being with you, not about establishing a connection with you. Let's move on to the green card situation. So first off, this is completely illegal, and the reason I include it here is because we have seen it happen before in our coaching practice. And unfortunately, it's never an easy situation. Often our clients, they'll come begging to us for help to help them fix this relationship to try to win their exes back, but we found that almost always clients in a scenario are better off moving on. And it's complicated because often these individuals are married or going through a divorce or separation. So there's not an easy out necessarily, and it's also sometimes a hard pill to swallow. Usually, circumstantially, you will figure out if you're in this circumstance, basically, if you're married from someone and they got their green card as a result, they potentially run the risk of this. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you meant nothing to them. That's where it gets kind of in this difficult gray area to figure out. My advice is if you're finding yourself in a situation like this, you should seek out a lawyer, someone who has legal understanding of the situation on how you should handle it. Because my concern isn't your ex's well-being. My concern is your well-being. And then finally, we have your time together was basically a one-night stand. So if that is literally all you shared with this person, and this person has a history of one-night stands, do you see where I'm going with this?